This podcast was produced on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation.
Welcome to Australia.
Aussie.
This is kind of tragic.
Someone who is such a connoisseur of reality television.
The content is hideous.
So sorry about this. Oh my God.
Welcome back to The Cringe is Real, the podcast that cringes along with Australian reality TV and pop culture at large. I'm Sam Cremian, and I'm delighted to be discussing the first 5 episodes of Netflix Japan's new show, The Boyfriend, with my regular guest, Paul Mizzi. The Boyfriend is a 10-part reality drama following the love stories of queer men in a beach house just outside of Tokyo, and you can watch the first batch of episodes on Netflix now. Paul Mizzi, welcome back to The Cringe is Real. How you going?
Thanks for having me back. I'm excited.
Third time's the charm. It should seem. What are you watching at the moment?
So my latest obsession, apart from the show we're about to talk about, is one on Binge called FGirl Island. It's also known as Lovers and Liars if you're in the US.
I did see that. Why did they change the title? Do you know?
I don't know. Like, the whole franchise changed networks in America, and like they definitely had some intervention. The network had some intervention. I think maybe FGirl was too racy for their commercials.
Right, I had assumed as much. So tell me about it. Is it the same format as our F-Boy version?
It's essentially the same format, except it's 3 guys, and it's 3 guys that we've seen in the other seasons of the show coming back. And
you've watched all of it, right? So you'll be loving it.
I've seen all of it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's rewarding for the devoted fans of the franchise, especially because, you know, a lot of the 3 guys, 2 of the 3 of them were F-boys in their season. Actually, all 3 were F-boys in their season. So it's kind of seeing the roles reversed. And it definitely changes the dynamics, because even though they're the ones that everyone's supposed to be going for, the girls are instantly distrustful of them.
Do they have to prove themselves to the girls that they've like reformed or something?
Well, they don't have to, but they do try. But what they don't realize is that the girls on this show are like 1,000% more savage than any of the F-boys in their seasons. Like, these girls are manipulative and cruel, and they're just a lot more unashamed about being like terrible, because they feel like they're justified because they're girls and they can do it. So it lends itself to a lot more drama.
This sounds good. I'm definitely going to have to check it out.
I would highly recommend.
Sounds good. We're here today to talk about a show that we're both watching and we're both obsessed with. A Japanese Netflix series called The Boyfriend. So tell me, how did you discover it, and what got you interested?
Well, my Instagram algorithm knows how much of a gay I am, and gave me the trailer for it. And then I was like, that looks really interesting. So
cool.
I love a good like gay dating show. So, and you know, this is the first of its kind, being from Japan. So I thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah. Had you seen any other Netflix Japanese content? Specifically, I'm thinking about Terrace House, which is the exact same format as this show.
No, I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
I also heard some like controversial things about it, that like one of the contestants like committed suicide.
Yes.
Because of how they were portrayed on the show. So but I've never watched it.
So Japanese culture, I find, is so fascinating, particularly when it comes to this style of television, because there isn't a huge amount of it. And the cast members become these instant overnight celebrities. And the thing with Terrace House was that these seasons went for really, really long periods of time. Not like the neat 10 episodes we're getting from The Boyfriend, which I think is a good learning. But people in the public were able to just go up to these people from the show, like in their everyday lives. Like in one season, there was a girl who was a barista, and apparently she got swamped at work. People would come in and find her to talk. So there was this pressure from the public. I was actually talking to a friend of mine in Japan yesterday about this show, a gay guy, and I was like, oh, surely you're watching The Boyfriend. And he was like, no. He's like, not after what happened on Terrace House. I'm not going to watch it. But besides that, it's great.
Yeah. It's not like any other reality show I've ever watched. Like, I haven't watched Terrace House, but you watch an American reality show. It's also loud and in your face and like very like heavily edited, and this definitely is heavily edited in a different way, but it's almost like a relaxation exercise watching this show.
Yeah.
It's just so chill. Everybody's so softly spoken. Like, instead of like a loud pop song as a transition of scenes, it will just be a silent shot of a tree and you hear the wind blowing through the leaves. It's very much, that's the vibe.
Well, Terrace House is even slower paced than this show. So this show, yes, it's the same in the sense that, so it's the same panel of panelists that view the show. So it's almost like, if you haven't watched this before, it's almost like Gogglebox, where you've got a show taking place and then you've also got a panel of famous people. They're comedians and celebrities in Japan, and they give their opinion about what's happening in the show. This is very standard, and I believe it's very cultural. People in Japan need to be guided with how to approach things. And I think they really enjoy being told what opinions they should have. And so audiences seek comfort in that. Plus, it's people that have a bit of a pull. I'm glad that this time they've included a queer panelist in Durian, who's the drag queen member of the panel. But the others I've seen on Terrace House before, particularly the sort of the loud guy who always sits on the very left. He's in pretty much every season of Terrace House. And he's kind of like I don't want to say like a Kyle Sandilands, but he's like an outspoken kind of guy. So people really trust his opinion. Whether or not we need him in this show, I don't know. It would have been cool to have all queer panelists, in my opinion. But
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
But the pace of this one, I think, is even faster than that of Terrace House. So Terrace House, there's like 50 episodes in a season, and they'll have a whole episode on like, someone didn't compliment someone's cooking skills or something, and that they read into it for 2 days, and you're like, oh my God. Yeah. So I kind of like that they've picked up the pace a little bit here, but they still focus on those micro tensions, which is something that does not happen in the Western world's reality shows. We're very extroverted. It's very like people go on these shows because they want to show off, but not so much here.
I don't see any Western reality show spending as much time about the price of chicken and like
I did drink a chicken smoothie. I did drink a chicken smoothie just before the show. Disgusting. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. The first episode starts with possibly the best theme song of all time. What do you think of the theme song?
Yeah, it's so chill. I love it.
It's really cool.
Like, you can just imagine like having the top down in your car and driving down the beach side and having that song blaring out your speaker. It's that kind of song.
I love the location. They're at a beach house. So with Terrace House, sometimes it's on the beach, sometimes it's in the snow, sometimes it's like in the city. They choose a different location. I like they've gone for a beach vibe for this one. The first cast member we meet is Dai. He's a 22-year-old student and kind of the protagonist of the show. What do you think of Dai?
Yeah, he seems a bit less, closed off than a lot of the other guys. Like, he's still, if you put him in like a Western reality show, he'd be the quiet wallflower. But in this show, he's almost like the outgoing one.
Yeah.
At the beginning, until some other characters are introduced later on. But
and we'll get to it later. But there's some controversial images on his phone, which causes some drama. Next, we meet Taehyung, who is a originally South Korean designer, who I think is rather gorgeous. Thoughts on Taehyung?
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. He is so cute. And just like, I feel like, or at least so far, like going completely under the radar, like no one's really seeing him as a romantic prospect that we've seen. And I'm like, what do you guys, like, what are you missing here? He's like so hot.
I know, and he's quite quiet. I'm surprised nobody pounced on him straight away. And especially later on when they get into some more deeper conversations, I really like what he has to say. So I actually think he's kind of cool. Ryota is next, who's a 28-year-old barista and model. He's tall and one of the other bisexual cast members. So Dai as well, like both men and women. I find Ryota pretty creepy. I'm not going to lie. His tone of voice and how he kind of just is a bit sulky. I don't know. I don't vibe with him.
Yeah, I have to agree. He's kind of got that. You could see him playing like a creepy villain in a film, but you can totally see how he's a model. He's got that kind of look.
Yeah, it's the height.
Where the height and like the sullen face and like he's definitely got that look. But that's not necessarily what's actually attractive in the real world.
Gensei is next, 34-year-old and works in beauty. I really love his makeup tutorials throughout the show, but also another quiet cast member that I think it's like slept on. Like I think he's really fun. He's the one I want to go party with the most. Like I reckon he'd be really fun to go out with.
Yeah, and really seems like he has like a really sweet heart, and like the fact that he's always wanting to like give the other guys haircuts and do their makeup and all that kind of stuff. He just seems like super sweet. And I think his love story so far in the first 5 episodes is probably the most heartbreaking of them all, because he thinks that one guy likes him and then he doesn't. And I felt really sorry for him. I
know, it's sad. Shun is next. So Shun is probably the most divisive character in this show. He's 23. He's a DJ and a music artist. He's got aspirations to marry and have children perhaps one day. And at the start, we don't really know his backstory yet. So he comes across as quite sulky. But later on, we discover perhaps why that is. Thoughts on Shun?
So knowing the backstory of this franchise, of what happened to that girl, I feel really like conflicted about Shun, because as the show portrays him, he's almost the villain of the season, I'd say.
Yeah.
And like, even though we find out his tragic backstory, going forward after that point, he still does some pretty awful manipulative things towards Day, I feel. And just doesn't come across with any warmth at all. Though all the other guys in the house seem to be quite close to Shun, and they all feel quite protective of him. So I don't know if there's like a side to Shun we're not seeing, but like as the show's portraying, like I really dislike Shun, but I don't know if that's the real story.
Well, he seems to be playing games with Dai, but I think it's also very cultural. I mean, Japanese people do find it very difficult to express their feelings, particularly in a romantic sense, particularly queer people who aren't, protected or celebrated at all in
and on TV,
culture. And they're on television. So I can imagine there's this immense amount of pressure. Again, where I'm thinking, what an interesting choice to even make this show after what's happened on Terrace House. We get some really interesting editing here where we get flash forwards of each character. So we see micro snippets of what's going to happen to them throughout the show. I really enjoyed this. It's like a much more sophisticated way of doing later this season, but we get it per character. And it's kind of eerie almost. It's like, oh, look what's going to happen to them in the future. They're all welcome to the green room, which is their gorgeous beachside house. And they're told they have a month together. And then we cut to the panel for the first time. So again, if you're not familiar with this format, it's full whiplash. You're like, who are these people? Why are they watching this show with me? Why do I have to think about what they think about the show? It's strange, but you do get comfortable with it, I think. How do you feel about the panel?
Yeah, it's interesting because they really don't hold back as well. And they're very willing to just straight out say, like, that person is awful. And like, again, with the history of this franchise, I'm like, okay, that's interesting, like that you would do that. But and as you said before, it's like, why are all these straight people commenting on this house of gay guys?
Yeah, we do get a few moments where Durian, as our resident queer on the panel, gets to educate them on a few things, and I like that, and I like that they've kept all those moments in the edit. But still, it's a bit like, is it their responsibility to do that? I don't know. It's kind of like a queer person sitting on the couch with their straight friends watching this show, being like, oh yeah, like dating apps like Grindr and whatever, that's really normal. And trying to convince them that, Di isn't a horrible slut. Like he absolutely gets portrayed as.
Yeah, I guess you have to view, like, what is the show trying to achieve? Is this a show for queer people, like featuring queer people, or is this a show to educate straight people in a society that's probably not at the point they should be in 2024?
I think
and in
it's
that
the
case,
latter.
maybe it is. It might be valuable to do it in this way.
I think a fair few queer people in Japan will be watching, but probably out of more through like a gap in their fingers, like, oh my God, how are we going to be portrayed to the rest of the country? So they have to come up with a name for their coffee truck. And fuck, this is so Japanese. So of course they're not just in a house together. They have to work, because you can't have a month off work. That's unheard of. So they have to work in shifts at a coffee truck. They and ah about the name. And then this is where the boys sort of first start to size each other up. Then we meet Kazuto, who is just an absolute heartthrob. He's very handsome. He's 27 and he's a chef. And he whips up this insane meal, fillets a whole katsuo on the bench. Thoughts on Kazuto?
Yeah, I think everybody wants a man who can cook with those skills. But
and
he definitely,
yeah,
he's definitely cute, and he does again seem very kind. Like the next morning he has to go to work, but he wakes up early and cooks breakfast for everyone, leaves it out for them, and leaves. Like, you don't do that unless you're a good person. So
very,
and I think he's rewarded. Like, everyone in the house loves him.
And do you know who else loves him? The panel. They froth. Like, from the start, they are all like, they want him. Like, even the straight guy is like, he's gorgeous. They notice that they have a sauna in the house, and they have a little discussion about who's into showers, who's into baths. I'm like, oh my God, I've had all these conversations with guys in Japan. It's so funny. They also discuss their intentions, and Kazuto kind of says to the group, he's like, I'm just here to kind of see where it goes. I don't want to commit to, finding love or anything like that. He's just kind of like curious to see what happens, which is interesting and does circle back at the end of episode 5. They get some mail saying they have to write an anonymous love letter to each other in the first night. So they've really just met. And the panel are like, ooh, girl.
Yeah, that was actually a really clever conceit, I feel, like the anonymous letters. It did actually create a lot of drama and presumptions from a lot of the guys.
And let's be honest, if they don't do things like this, nothing would happen. They would literally just cook meals and work, and there'd be no drama. So I'm glad that they poke them a little bit. Gensei's really worried that he's not going to get a letter. And Shun already has a bit of a bad attitude about the whole thing, which the panel pick up on. And this is kind of the start of like, what's Shun's deal? Taehyun has no mail the next day, which I was shocked about.
I don't get with these guys.
He's so gorgeous.
What's happening? Yeah.
He writes to Kazuto because, of course, everyone's obsessed. Kazuto gets this letter and thinks it's from Dai or Shun, but he's wrong. This is the other thing I love. They don't know who's into them because they don't express themselves in any way. So it's like this guessing game. It's almost like the traitors. It's like, who is it?
Yeah.
Who's my crush? I don't know. Gensuke wrote to Dai saying that he wants to get to know him more. Dai wrote to Shun saying that he's got some feelings. And this is where we learn that Dai is a bit horny, which I'm here for.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's ready to fuck, which none of the rest of them seem to be.
Or at least not
for now.
letting it show. They probably are, but they just don't want anyone to know about it. Whereas he's a bit more open. Yeah. Exactly.
Dai receives 3 letters from Kazuto, Gensei, and Ryota. Wow. So I think they made the right choice putting him in first and kind of making him a bit of the star of the show because people are attracted to his confidence. The panel loved the letters, but not Shun's negativity. And they're really into the whole group so far. So they've got a really good attitude towards the show so far. This is the breakfast moment. So Kazuto makes breakfast and leaves. Do you think so? He's obviously going off to his actual job, right?
Yeah. So it seems like that's the other big difference with this show is like nobody's like left their job. They couldn't even get a couple of months
you can't get time off work in Japan. Then they ask AI to generate a name for the coffee truck. I thought this was hilarious. And of course it's terrible. It's Brutiful You. What did you think?
Do you know the funny thing is there's actually a coffee shop in Adelaide called Brutiful You.
Spelt the same way?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've never noticed it before, but now I was like,
they asked AI. They must have asked the same bot came up with it. That is too funny. They do a coffee course, which this all feels very Melbourne. It's like every cool cafe is run by a hipster Japanese guy. It's like $12 for a pour over. Shun continues with the bad attitude here. It's like, is he nervous or does he not want to be there? I was trying to figure it out. And Dai tries to give Shun a little cuddle in the coffee course, and he's a bit standoffish. Then I love this as well. Dai gets to go and have pizza and wine with his girlies. This is like the best. We don't meet anyone else's outsider friends or family, but Dai has the best group of girlfriends, and they love having a wine and a pizza and a goss. And I'm like, go girl.
Yeah, I think that was his birthday.
Oh, it was too.
Yeah, that's why they let him go and hang out with his girls.
The girlinas, and they want all the goss, and he tells them he's got a bit of a crush on Shun. Then back at the green room, Shun is telling the boys about his type. He's like, and this is where I'm like, okay, you expect a lot, mate. Like, he's hard work. Like, he's a difficult person to please. He kind of wants everything, but I'm not sure he's willing to give that much. Is that the vibe you got too?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, as the show's portraying it, like, everything he's saying seems completely unreasonable. And, just straight off the bat, he's treating Dai poorly. So I don't know why, like, if I was Dai, I don't know why I would be putting up with it when there's so many other options in the house.
Totally. Hello, friggin' Taehyun. Anyway, then speaking of hotness, they hit the beach and we get to see everyone's rig, which is a big deal. I appreciated this scene too, and they're all like, they're all bikurishita at Dai's body and Taehyun's body, and this is where it feels a little bit, I don't want to say like behind the times, but it definitely is cultural when they start to talk very freely about how they feel about each other's bodies. I think that's something that perhaps we don't do in our culture, but is very normalized in Japan, which is you just straight up can say, oh yeah, you know, that person's a bit fat, that person's a bit rich, whatever, like in that matter of fact kind of way. Who were you most interested in the beach scene?
Taehyun. Like,
totally.
Completely.
He's hot.
Yeah.
And he's not even drinking chicken smoothies and he looks this good.
Yeah.
Like, come on, mate. They're all shocked about Taehyun's bod. Kazuto is cool. He tells us that he's not fussed about a body. Like, he doesn't mind if you've got a bit of a belly. And I was like, fuck yeah, this guy just gets better and better.
I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a chance. He cooks some more delicious dinner. Dai tells the group that his last relationship was with a woman, but he's kind of more sexually attracted to men. And this is when the otter also opens up about being bisexual. They come and talk about that. And Durian explains to the rest of the panel about the spectrum of sexuality. We're all getting an education. It's fantastic. They write a menu for the coffee truck. And then they get a mail saying that there is a Shin member or an intruder coming to the house. Were you excited about said new member?
Yeah, like bring on more options. Because at that point as well, like if they all had paired up, there wouldn't have been, like somebody would have been left with no one. Mm-hmm. So I was like, doesn't seem fair. Like surely there's got to be more.
So they go out to a trashy nightclub where they drink some champagne, and Kazuto and Dai are quizzing each other about who they're into. I think they've had a few drinks and it's like, okay, you're going to tell me who you like. And they play a game of Junkin or rock, paper, scissors to find out who they're all into. And it's like, if you lose, you have to tell someone who you're into. Mm-hmm. Gensei loses and he tells Shun that he's into Kazuto. So I love this. We're just learning so much about the dynamics here. It's like who he trusts as a friend, but then also who he's crushing on. Mind you, I think having a crush on Kazuto at this point is no like huge revelation.
Yeah.
Shun tries to keep it together, but he's a little bit distracted by the sexy go-go boy dancers that come out. And this is interesting because they all get a bit, what's the word? They're all very attracted to the go-go boys, but they tell us that there's this unattainable thing there where it's like, you know, these guys are so masculine and they're so beautiful and I could never. What did you think about that?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Like if this was a Western reality show, everyone would be like so confident and would be talking about how they're going to sleep with those go-go boys. But there is like a reverence to these go-go boys. They're almost like worshipped, which is interesting.
Very much. And then, of course, the intruder is the hottest go-go boy, Usak, who joins the green room. And he's quite a famous go-go boy in Japan, and he's very sexy. However, personality, would you say buckets of that?
I actually thought Usak was quite sweet.
Oh,
and
very.
By the time he left, like I was attached to Usak.
Yeah.
And especially, I like don't want to jump ahead a little bit, but like he goes at the end of episode 5 and I got emotional. Like
you did.
Like,
see, I was kind of glad.
I
liked him as well, but I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a really good decision because I was getting sick of him being sulky. I mean, we'll get to it, but for now, all we know is that he's hot and that he drinks chicken fucking smoothies, which is disgusting. Yeah. And not only is it disgusting, it's very costly to the budget of the group. They only get 6,000 yen for the group, and he spends it on chicken. Which becomes...
My question is, though, what's the difference between a chicken smoothie and soup?
Nothing.
Like, is it really as disgusting as what we're making out to be? Are we just judging
I'm sure it's fine. I
than...
think it's more that it's like, why couldn't he just have like packed some protein powder in his bag? Like, do you know what I mean? Like the fact that it's food that he's making from the show's budget. I found that very bizarre. Like, why was it everyone's business? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, I want to send him a box of protein powder to be like, this product exists. The panel are like, what the fuck with the chicken smoothie. Then they have
some of the guys do try it, don't they? Like,
I think so. Some of them give it a go.
And they all seem quite horrified.
Yeah. The coffee truck is ready with its gorgeous Brutiful You branding. It's very cute. So they get to see that. Then they notice that their names are on the wall in little surfboards. And this is how the cast are going to choose who gets to work with who. So first up is Ryota. He has to pick someone to work with, and he picks Gensei, which is cute. It feels like it's a confession of who you like, but that's not necessarily what that is, don't you think?
I don't think it plays out that way.
No.
Like a lot of these pairings seem like friendship pairings. They just like are choosing people they just want to hang out with for the day.
Or they're choosing people that they want to actually just get to know a little bit better because there's not much room to do that in the group. The panel, though, assume that when you pick someone to work with, you like are in love with them, which I'm like, settle down, guys. Gensei's very happy to be picked. It's very cute. So they have to take a little selfie Polaroid. Then they do their shift. I thought it was very cute when they met the first customers and they're like, you're our first customers. They're like, what?
I also like that at the end of each shift, they show how much money they've made in the shift. And it's like so low. It's like they made $30.
It's amazing. It's like a video game. But some shifts, they make like $100. And some shifts, they make like 10. It's so inconsistent. But I love that they show us that without fail.
Yeah, but also, like, either way, if you made $100, you made $10. Either way is not enough to be sustaining this if this was a real business in the real world. You got 2 employees working like 16 hours essentially between the two of them to make $100.
Yeah. And then their budget doesn't change. So I'm confused. Petrol, shouldn't their budget go up if they make more money? Like, oh my God. Which I think Alan, who we haven't met yet, says that later on. He's like, why don't we just pay for the chicken from the fucking till? I'm like, yes, bitch. Someone with some business nous. Okay, so at the green room, Shun has like a headache or he's tired or something, and this is when I'm like, oh no, like honey should not be on this show. And Dai's trying to be cute and look after him. It's awkward. Ryota tells Gensuke that he chose him because he wanted to know a little bit more about him. And the panel are already like, oh, wedding bells. Yeah, they made 4 sales. It's like $20. And then Usak laughs. He's like, that's literally like 1 chicken breast for me. She's foreshadowing. Then Dai and Shun are the next to work together. And Dai has no idea how Shun feels about him because Shun has been quite strange with his behaviour until now. In the sauna, we get a sexy shot of Usak dripping in sweat, which I quite enjoyed.
And one of the other guys, don't they remark that they've never seen muscles like that in person before?
Yeah. Which I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, they've already decided he's out of their league, which is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, because he's literally there to try and meet someone, so you might as well give it a go. But anyway, and this is where Usak starts to get a bit deep. He's like, do I really know who I am? Sometimes I find it really hard to express myself, and he sets a goal on this experience to be a bit more vulnerable and put himself out there a bit, which I thought was quite sweet. Then Shun starts to tell Dai all about his exes, which there are several, one of which is from New York. And this is when I'm like, okay, girl, you seem like a bit of a brat. I'm not going to lie. Like, this is when I'm like, this is red flag central. What did you think?
I was thinking the exact same thing. it didn't feel right, these stories, and it wasn't painting him in a particularly positive light at all. If it was me, I'd be running away at that point.
Mm-hmm. Back at the house, they play more crush reveal stakes games. This time it's Jenga. Ryota loses, but he can't reveal that he's into Shun because Shun is right there. So it's very awkward. So he keeps it well hidden. Which I'm so confused because I'm like, Gensei is so cute, and Gensei thinks that Ryota is into him, right? And but he doesn't know because Ryota gives away nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole situation is quite strange to witness, as no one's willing to put themselves out there.
Is this where another show could have, used their producers to poke things along? But is that a positive that they're not doing that? I don't know. Like, sometimes you just want them just to say how they feel or, force them into a situation. But we definitely don't get that.
No, and as we see later on, all it takes is for someone with confidence to come in and start telling everyone how they feel, and then they all go, shit, I should have done that from the start. And it's like, well, it's too late. Usak goes chicken shopping, and then we get more discussion around the chicken and the budget, and I'm just like, wake me up when this bit's done. They play more games, and Shun loses this time, so he tells Ryota that he's got a crush on Dai, and they've just done this shift together. The panel are shook. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's kept that so well hidden. Do you think he's really vibing Dai, or do you think he's just... I feel like he's feeling pressured, and perhaps lots of people showed their interest in him at the start, so it's like...
Yeah, it's the same. It's so hard to read what they're thinking. They keep everything so close to their chest. So, it wasn't something that I was feeling like was happening, or at least from the footage that we're looking at was happening. So, yeah, it was very strange.
Poor Ryota is like, nobody loves me. Dai and Gensei gossip, and Dai says that he was really nervous during the game last night. Ryota is very sensitive and sweet, which is quite cute. Like, I quite like him, and he's handling the Shun situation well, but you do kind of want to shake him and be like, now's your chance, mate, because... your crush is going off with someone else and you've said nothing. Then we get our first controversial moment of the season, the naked pics. So Dai accidentally shows Shun some pickies on his phone. Whether it's an accident or not, who knows? But we've all done it, girl. We've all handed our phone to someone and gone, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that, because one wrong swipe and it's all over.
Yeah, he needs to learn how to use secure folders.
I know. It's very awkward. Dai is mortified, and then Shun spirals into a monologue that's equal parts sort of slut-shamey, but also a lot about his kind of internalized issues of family, I think. And I think it's because... well, he tries to wrap it in this thing of like, I need someone that's like all in for me. But it comes across pretty judgy, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And like pretty unreasonable. Like, these are gay guys in their 20s.
Exactly.
And you're judging him for having a nude on his phone. And I get it's a different culture, but, Dai is part of that culture, and he thought it was fine to have it on his phone. So, and I'm sure he's not an outlier. So, yeah, it just...
well, it's like, is it bad that he has them, or is it bad that he got caught? Because I feel like they all do, and that, like you've said, they're just better at hiding it. Then Durian has to do some damage control on the panel and explain to everyone that this is very normal behavior. Everyone uses dating apps, particularly because otherwise it's really hard to meet people. Which I was like, yeah, you tell him, girl. I'm so on Dai's team with this. Like, I just was like,
Oh,
I was just like, Sean,
1000%.
you are just like, like Dai has walked into this experience with a, vulnerability and a good attitude, and then someone's just gonna like, I don't know, it feels kind of gross. Kazuto is next to pick someone to work with in the truck, and he picks Ryota. They in the car bond over how stupid the chicken smoothie is, which I was like, finally some shade towards the muscle man. I like these two. Ryota opens up a bit about coming out, and this is Kazuto opens up about opening his restaurant, things like that. Shun is still having a wah about the nudes. Then it's time for Shun's turn to pick, and he picks Dai. And this is kind of the nail in the coffin for Ryota. He's like kind of kissed it goodbye now. Gensei is shocked by the choice. So it's kind of weird. Like, we've been seeing this edit where it's clear that they're into each other, but the rest of the cast weren't aware of it. What did you think of that? Like,
yeah, I mean, we got, confessionals and stuff, which probably helped it along. But yeah, you look at them just hanging around. They're not the most, touchy-feely, lovey-dovey two people you've ever seen. Like, I could definitely see how they could misinterpret them to not having feelings for each other.
True. Well, you've got people on this show like Ryota who only exclusively speak in confessional, because everything else they have to say is like nothing. This is awkward. They get to the truck and it's silence. They have a big shift though. They make 8,500 yen. And after the shift, fuck me, this is so awkward. There's a sunset. There's a beautiful shot of a sunset. And Shun kind of like proposes that maybe they should kiss. And the panel are like, do it, kiss. And then Dai tries to kiss him. And he's like, oh no, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, see, this is the toxic bullshit that I was referring to before. Like, he does this several times, and it's just manipulations and games. Like, he knows what he's doing in these moments. Like, you don't bring up, like, if we kissed, it would, like, make everything a lot more clear, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's kiss. No. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty shit.
Durian calls Shun Muzukashi, which is complicated. And Gensei is very cute. He's giving Ryota a makeup tutorial in this scene, which I really liked. We get more explanation from the panel about how this is him showing affection and showing that he's interested in Ryota. Then, intruder alert, it's Alan, our 29-year-old Brazilian Japanese hottie. Ooh, works in IT. What do you think of Alan?
Love Alan.
Upset, like
Alan is
breakout star.
Yeah, like he's a breath of fresh air. He's, obviously got that Brazilian side to him. So he's not as reserved as the other boys. But he's lived in Japan. So it's not like he's, since he was little.
Since he was
so
2.
It's not like he's, yeah. So it's not like he's a complete outsider to their society, but he brings his own flavor and definitely brings something different to the show. And he is very hot.
Very hot. So this is a tried and true format on this show. So in Terrace House, they often reserve a quote-unquote half to come in halfway through the show. So I think they like the idea of the firecracker or the assertive. They keep calling him assertive, which I'm like, this is just code for like, he's like not fully Japanese. It's like very coded. It's very layered, but they throw him in here to bring a different perspective. They also just know that he is really confident. So he's going to bring drama. But yes, they definitely always reserve these sorts of characters for later down the track on Terrace House as well. And he's a hugger. He wants to hug everyone, which makes everyone very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Up to that point, it was just polite bowing and nothing more.
And we learn, and I love this, that him and Di have fucked.
Yeah.
So good. I'm like, finally, someone's fucked on this show. And the panel are a little bit like, oh, okay, they've done that, have they? And it's like, yes, people have sex. You're welcome. Then they have a beautiful barbecue with some wine. And Alan tells the group that he's an arse man.
And no one's been that like forward about sex the entire show up to that point. Like that's the most out there thing that anyone has said.
And also, they haven't really had very much deep conversation, but straight away with Alan, first night, they're talking about privilege. They're talking about LGBT issues in Japan. And Taehyun's got a really great perspective, which is that, you know, they still have to sort of fight for their rights a little bit and protect themselves, which I was like, yeah. And Dai gets annoyed by this rhetoric and he's like, oh no, you know, we've got to include everyone and we've got to still appease the mainstream is kind of the gist I got from this conversation. To the point he gets so upset by he walks off, but sort of covertly. And Shun follows.
Probably just an excuse for them to hang out with each other, really.
This is where Shun tells Dai about his lived experience. So abandoned as a baby, grew up in some sort of orphanage system. It sounds all very horrible. And I believe, was he there until he was 18?
It sounds like it, yeah.
So just no concept of having parents in his life. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, of course that's why he's behaving in this way. Like I don't like think he's a bad person at all anymore. I literally just like clicked. I was like, of course he's behaving this way. And I actually think it's a little bit irresponsible that he's on this show. I'm not going to lie.
He does seem like he's going through like a depression as well. The amount of scenes that he's just like on the couch in a fetal position,
my
like
God.
with his back to the group. It just like, and there's a reason why you don't put people going through these kind of things on TV, because they don't make for good TV. They make for like, it's like distressing TV.
Absolutely. I find every scene where he's back to the camera, fetal on the couch, I'm like, this is someone experiencing depression, and there is no vocabulary of how to deal with that in this culture. And it feels really, reckless and awkward. Then he plays a song to Dai on the piano to calm him down. And it's quite gorgeous. And we get this very cinematic scene. One of a few cinematic scenes we get between these two. Then on the tearjerker train, Gensei tells the boys about his dad who died from stomach cancer. And oh my God, I was like a mess during this. His dad said to him just before he died that he admires his son, and just there's not a dry eye in the house, nor on the panel. And then we get that cut in with the piano scene. It's all very beautifully made television. Then they get a message that tomorrow there'll be a private date. So everyone has to vote for who they would like to go on the date with in a jar. And if there's matches, those people will go on a date. Clever device.
Well, we find out that everybody's love's unrequited, so it just results in one date with the couple that I wasn't really invested in. So,
exactly that. I mean, it sounds exciting, and then when you realize that there's only one couple that are interested in each other, it's like, what the fuck? So of course it's Dai and Shun. They go on a very awkward date to the aquarium at a terrible looking Chinese restaurant.
I did love at the aquarium that there was holes for the otter's hands to go through, so you could touch the otters.
Those. It's very cute.
That's so
Which
cute.
later on comes back to bite Di in the ass because Shun is like,
Yeah.
you were being too much with those otters. And I'm like, bitch,
Yeah.
she's having fun. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Shun's got some serious baggage. He also, it feels like he wants to dictate exactly how the relationship is going to go. And he's got a control complex as well.
Oh, absolutely. Not only the relationship, like all of Di's behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't have those nudes on your phone. You can't have fun with otters at the aquarium. Like, it's pretty.
Don't confuse
full-on.
those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the otters was a highlight. Episode 4 opens with Usak being next to choose his shift, and he picks Dai, which I thought was very strange. But then he also tells us in confessional that he's very interested in Kazuto. And they do lots of on-screen stuff here to explain it because it makes no sense. They have a cute shift. It's cute. Then Shun is being Suki again, and Dai tries to give him some affection. And I think this is the slow-mo shot of like brushing the leg and then like pushing the hand away. And it's like, wow, like so much is said in this micro moment.
Yeah. Especially like, because the way I'm remembering it, so he puts his head on Dai's lap, and then Dai then reciprocates by putting his hand on him, and then he brushes it away. So like he initiates it, just like that kiss interaction. He initiates something, makes it seem like something's going to happen, and then as soon as Dai acts on that, he gets punished, which is very like
toxic. It's also brought to our attention now that Kazuto has been away for a while. So I'm assuming at work, picking up extra shifts at his restaurant. He comes back and Alan is like, who the fuck is this? And they have a long hug to introduce themselves. But then Alan picks Taehyun to go on a shift with, which again, I'm like, okay, so people are into one person, but not choosing them. Do you think it's like they're too scared to?
Yeah, it seems to be a theme of the show is like not wanting to put yourself out there.
Yep. Kazuto and Usak get to know each other back at the house, and Kazuto thinks that Usak is pretty unattainable. So this has been said from when they met him, particularly the way they met him. Like he was introduced to them as this celebrity go-go dancer, looking hot. They saw him perform, looking hot. It's kind of wrecked it for him, I think. Maybe if they just had him come in as a normal person with clothes on, I think that would have helped his chances. The panel fucking stan Kazuto, as do I.
Yeah.
And then Chicken Shake Gate comes up once again, and this is when they come up with a compromise, thanks to Alan, to take some money from the truck or something. I don't know. When they talk about the budget, I'm just like, what the fuck? You know it's not real anyways. That's so stupid. Usak is a bit sulky because he's kind of been called out by Dai about how much money he's taking from the budget to buy a chicken breast. Look, on Terrace House, it's the same. Most of the drama is usually around food, or like chores, like who's cooking or whatever. It's like as soon as someone doesn't chip in the right amount or something, there's a problem. Because it's a very collectivist culture. You know, everyone does their part, and if you don't, there's a problem. Usak picks Alan for a truck shift. And they have a little heart-to-heart. Alan gives Usak some really encouraging words. It's really nice. Like Alan's a very emotionally intelligent person, and he can see that Usak is kind of struggling a bit. And he's like, hang in there, like just you do you. Like it's nice. And the panel are like, oh, he's smart and kind and handsome. Like they all really love Alan now as well. Then we get the text So Kazuto takes Alan outside for a chat, and it's like, hey, I'm kind of feeling you, and they're feeling each other. And then this is the birth of our first like couple that I'm rooting for,
Yeah.
which is Alan and Kazuto. Were you excited about these two?
Absolutely, yeah. They seem like a cute match, and Alan, you know, as soon as he saw him, he was like, "That's my guy." So
I know. Unfortunately, though, Alan is moving a little bit too fast for Kazuto's liking.
yeah, yeah. The way this relationship kind of progresses isn't so fun, but at the start, I was definitely hopeful.
Yeah. But now, to throw a spanner in the works, both Usak and Ryota suddenly decide now is the time to put it all on the line and tell Kazuto that they are both into him as well, separately. And poor Kazuto, he's overwhelmed by this. It's all a lot. They're coming out of nowhere. They're all doing it in this awkward one-on-one way.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt for him, but also it's like, mate, everyone's just into you because you're awesome. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him. Oh, boo-hoo! Like all these cute guys want to date me. Like fuck off.
but it is they are putting him in an awkward position because they all know, like Alan was the only one that had the balls to kind of do it publicly. So they all know how Alan and Kazuto feel about each other. They're clearly vibing. So I think it is a bit, I think it is childish of Usak and Ryota to then, in the safety of a one-on-one, reveal how they feel. I don't know. And it does put pressure on Kazuto because then he's got to, you know, turn him down. It's like they had the information to know that it's not going to work out. Anyway, Ryota tells Shun that he also likes Kazuto. So yeah, it's all kind of out there now. They do their one-on-ones. Then we get an overnight date. So this is like, ooh, raunchy. Same rules apply as before. Mutual matches only. And we get a Netflix-style cliffhanger. There's only one couple yet again, which is big drama because everyone's into Kazuto, but he chooses Alan, so they get to go on the overnight date. And then also, Shun didn't pick Dai. What a little bitch.
All over some nudes.
Like, wow. There was a really funny moment here where under his breath, Ryota is like, oh, fuck, they're going on an overnight date. And we all know what that means kind of thing. It's like, they're so going to bang. But Alan isn't so lucky. I mean, look, if that was me in that ryokan with Alan, I would have been, you know, that little bath scene would have gone very differently if it was me, let's just say. Let's talk about this.
The fact that they, you know, were essentially in like a hot tub together with no clothes on.
Just a little towel covering. It was very hot. It was very hot.
Yes. Alan looked very good in that scene. And, you know, he just resisted.
You could feel the tension. And when he was like, maybe we should, you know, shower off together. And Kazuto was just like, absolutely not. Abunai, which is something I got called a lot when I was in Japan, Paul. Apparently I'm a dangerous woman, a seductress. But yes, there was a reluctance to give into it. Do you think he's feeling that way anyway, or is it the cameras, or is it a bit of both? I don't know.
Yeah, surely the cameras would be playing a huge part in it. I could imagine, like, you know, this is a pretty historic TV show, and if you're the first guy that gets railed on Netflix for the entire world to see on the first ever gay reality show, like
in a tiny
town.
I mean,
I wouldn't want to be that person in that society because I feel like he would get a lot of slack.
Yeah.
Flack, sorry.
Yeah. You would. but I'm also pissed off because I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah.
And then the massage happens. I think Alan probably should have taken a hint at this point and let it go. But he can't help himself, and he tries again, tries for the massage. He's like, come on. He's actually a bit forceful now. He's like, come on, whip your kid off. I'm giving you a massage. Which, again, it's actually kind of normal behavior in our society. But on this show, when you've been watching 4 episodes of this show, it's even I was like, oh, you can't do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
The massage was still hot though. Then they get back to the green room and Alan just spills the tea right away. He's like, yeah, we got naked. Yeah, we did massages. Yeah, we sat in the bath. And I'm like, he's uncomfortable.
Someone's like, separate beds? Was it separate beds? Like, yeah, but I immediately just put them together.
Yes, which I mean, it's the tea, but it's also like maybe have a little bit of tact. This was this is the only bit where I'm like, come on, Alan, like, you've got to kind of be a little bit more tactful with these girlies.
But I kind of respected him for it. Like, he's being unapologetically himself, and I respect that.
Yeah.
He's refusing to alter his behaviors because everyone else is being so introverted.
Exactly. This is when we get Usak final moment. He's so fucking serious, isn't he? He takes Kazuto for a shift at the coffee truck. We get this sweeping drone shot of them walking on the beach, and then he breaks down and says, you know what? Like, I came here to have chicken smoothies and look hot, but I've also accomplished my goal of being vulnerable and sharing my feelings, so it's time for me to leave. And yeah, you're right. Like, I actually got emotional. Especially when the theme song started playing. I was like, and then he says goodbye. What did you? Yeah, but
yeah, I think the bit that made me lose my composure was when he was telling all the boys when they got back to the house, and I think it was Gensei who like completely breaks down. Yeah. And like when I see other people cry, I cry.
And Gensei's like, bitch, we just started having fun. Like, I just started getting to know you. Yeah, that bit is hard. It's also really the bit that I actually got emotional about was the character drawings that he did. So
and he's so talented.
They were amazing. Like, how is that not like the poster for the show? Like, they're the most incredible drawings. And of course he like did it in secret and then like left it when anyway. But I think it's time for him to go. Moving forward, so we've got another 5 episodes to go. What are your hopes, predictions?
I hope people actually start hooking up. Would be amazing. Like, we still haven't had a kiss on this show.
No.
So, which, think about how many dating reality shows that we both collectively watch and like how many kisses we've seen on those shows. And the fact that there's been 0, I'm just thinking about like that one episode of Brazilian Too Hot to Handle where they like fucked 8 times in one night, and then this show, like, there's not one kiss yet.
I love that.
I really want, like, there's certain boys here that I really want stuff to happen for, like Gensei and Taichin. Like, I really want them to find someone, find some happiness.
I'm so with you. I'm really rooting for Gensei. I'm really rooting for Taehon. I want like those characters to come out of their shell a bit more. I think Alan and Kazuto are done. I don't think that's going to progress, which makes me sad, but also like, whatever. Alan can do better. Alan will find someone. I'm not worried about him.
Yeah.
I feel like Kazuto could leave as well. He seems overwhelmed by the whole experience. Plus he's got a restaurant to run. Yeah.
And also for his own sake, I would like Shun to leave. And work on himself.
Absolutely.
I feel like he needs to I don't think he was ready for this experience. And I don't know if it was responsible to put him on here.
I agree. Now, Paul, I believe you are off to Japan tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll be hanging out with all these
Are you
guys.
Are you gonna go track down Beautiful You and get an ice coffee?
Look, if it's there, I'm going. I'll at least see if Uzak's doing some go-go boy dancing somewhere. I might be able to go see him.
Are you the new intruder?
Yeah, absolutely. Season 2.
Amazing. Well, have a great trip.
Thank you.
Let's get there, and I'll see you when you get back, and we will discuss the second half of this fabulous show, The Boyfriend.
Yeah, thank fuck that Netflix is international and I can watch it while I'm in Japan. So.
Amazing. Enjoy. I'll see you later.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for listening to The Cringe is Real with me, Sam Cremant. If you would like to support the show, rate, review, share, and tell your friends about it. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the show notes.